What's up, everybody, and happy Friday the 13th. To celebrate this momentous occasion that only happens a couple times a year, I figured I would go over my 13 favorite moments in the Friday the 13th franchise. I've already ranked the movies, I've ranked the Jasons, I've ranked all 180 plus kills. Definitely check out that video. And now let's just talk about some of the moments in these movies, in these 12 different films that bring me the most joy. Kicking it off with number 13 is going to be from Part 5, A New Beginning, and that is the axe kill. Now look, I know that this is not a popular entry in this franchise, and I get it. I like it more than most, but I get it. But something about this opening kill, the thing that sets off the events that take over the rest of this movie, the thing that sets Roy on his vengeance, his blood trail to the end of this film, I think is hilarious.
Well, if that's the way you feel, forget it, Vic. Just forget it. But I think you're really out of line.
I mean, it's just so ridiculous. It's so over the top. It's just so corny that I can't help but laugh every single time that I watch it. So it goes without saying, if you don't like this scene as much as I do, then forget it. Just forget it. My number 12 is going to be from the 2009 remake, and it's towards the end of the film, and that's when Jenna gets killed. The only death in all 12 of these films that actually gets a shocking reaction from the audience. Everybody would have put down money that Jenna was going to be the final girl or one of the survivors at the end of that film. And when she's absolutely killed out of nowhere, just that machete goes right through her chest, you have the same exact reaction that Jared Padalecki's character has. You're like, no, why her? And for all of the hate that the 2009 remake gets that I, for the life of me, will never understand, I genuinely think that that scene right there is one of the best executed executions in this entire franchise. Number 11, you know what time it is. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I can't dance, and I can't recreate this horrible dance. The Crispin Glover dance in Part 4, the final chapter. I mean, look, Crispin Glover's one of those guys, he's so eccentric, he's so odd that he just brings something to pretty much every movie that he's in, and this is one of the most iconic moments, not only in the fourth film, but just in the franchise. Just a goofy character doing some weird-ass dance to some 80s song, and it just makes you like his character. The dead fuck is somebody that we like because of this dance. Coming in at number 10 goes back to the OG, and that is the Pamela Voorhees reveal.
Well, I'm Mrs. Voorhees, an old friend of the Christies.
Now, on one hand, story structure-wise, I've always had an issue with the first film and its whodunit sense of never giving us any hint of who the killer is, never having met this person before, so it kind of disassembles the whole formula of a typical whodunit. But once Betsy Palmer shows up, she's the most iconic part of that movie. She's the most exciting part of that movie, and I actually think there's a solid argument out there that Pamela Voorhees is scarier than Jason in a lot of ways, and it's because of her performance after the reveal. Number 9 is going to go back to Part 4, the final chapter, and jumpin' holy Jiminy Christmas shit! It's the hacksaw kill. One of my favorite kills. Actually, I think it is my favorite kill in the entire franchise. Tall order, ton of kills to talk about, but that's the one that I love. Bringing back those classic Tom Savini effects, and the fact that they just right off the rip introduce us to this character who's an absolute douche, just an insufferable person that you're going to enjoy getting his head twisted 180 degrees the wrong way. I think it's a gnarly ass kill, and it starts this movie, which is my second favorite, off with a fucking bang. Number 8 is going to go to Jason X, and that's the sleeping bag kill. Now, I know you purists out there, Part 7 did it first. Well, Jason X did it better. There's a bit of a throwback nature to it. It's a wink for the fans, but instead of just one person getting drugged and slammed against a tree, he's taken one person in a sleeping bag and beating another person in a sleeping bag with it. How can that not be better? That's just classic Friday the 13th right there. Number 7 is going to be the first kill in Freddy vs. Jason, and that is the guy that gets bent pretty much backwards in half in the bed. And this was the moment when I saw this in theaters that the whole theater erupted. This was the moment that Freddy vs. Jason really kicked off. I know some of you aren't fans of that movie. I've always really enjoyed it, but that kill especially is not only my favorite kill in that movie, it's one of my favorite kills in Friday the 13th history, period. And that was truly the moment. I have flashbacks all the time of being in the theater and thinking, this is awesome, they're finally gonna fight, and then Jason just rips that dude in half and everybody was like, ah! came for. Number 6 is going to take it over to New Blood, and I am not a fan of this movie, but I love the design of Jason. This was one hell of a design to bring in the Kane Hodder era of Friday the 13th films, and we all love that moment. Jason has arrived in the third act. He's ready to slay everybody. He's ready to finally take down Dollar Store Carrie, and she uses her mind powers and explodes his mask, and you get that skeleton face reveal. We had not really seen what Jason looked like since he was revived in part 6, and so this was truly the epitome of zombie Jason was this scene. Number 5 is going back to Jason X, and this is one of my favorite kills in the franchise again, and definitely the best kill in this movie, and that's the nitrogen kill, where he takes the chick's face, throws it into the liquid nitrogen, the camera's inside of the pool as she freezes, and then he just smashes her face to a bunch of bloody bits. Honestly, Jason X is one of those movies that, again, I think I've said it 3 times in a row now. I know some of you guys aren't fans of it, but I grew up in the era where I was a dumb, young preteen when this came out. This movie was everything that I enjoyed about Friday the 13th times like 10. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. It should probably never exist. But if any of the huge slasher killers, the horror icons, can go into space and make it stylish, it's Jason Voorhees. Number 4 is going back to Final Chapter, and that is when the final chapter becomes the final chapter. Jason getting killed. Temporarily. This is where Tommy Jarvis comes in with that machete and enacts his final plan against Jason to trick him, and so they could finally take him out, and you get that great Tom Savini effect where the machete gets him across the face, and then he goes down, hits the ground, and his face just continues to slide on that machete. I'm telling you right now, whenever we finally do get a new Friday the 13th movie, they better just pull a truckload of cash up to Tom Savini's house and get him to come back and do one more movie with them, because all of the best kills in this franchise came from that man. And though, of course, we all know this was not the actual end of Jason, this was not the final chapter, nor is any horror movie that has the word final in the title, but if this was the last time we saw Jason Voorhees, that was a hell of a way to take that dude out. Number 3 is going back to Freddy vs. Jason, and we have that Cornfield Inferno massacre sequence. This was easily one of the most badass sequences in Freddy vs. Jason. I think this might be the scene where Jason kills the most people in quick succession, still holds that title, and I just love the aesthetic of it. I love the fact that he's on fire the entire time, great stunts there, the way that he just slashes all these different people and all of the practical blood work that comes out. I mean, the guy gets slashed across the chest and he's spraying everywhere. People get slashed in the face. You get the flying machetes that take people out. I mean, there's just so much going on in this sequence that if you weren't already on board with this movie when Jason bent that fucking dude in half, this was again a moment where my entire theater erupted like, hell yes. Play some Slayer, play some heavy metal, because we are now raining blood on bitches. Number 2 might be a bit of a cheat because it's not necessarily a moment, it's a whole sequence of moments, but basically the entire first 15 minutes of the 2009 remake. I don't care who you are, I don't care how much of a Jason fan or a Friday the 13th fan that you are, and I have talked to numerous of you guys. Those that love the remake and those that hate the remake all agree that the first 10 to 15 minutes of this movie was where it's at. I've even heard people say if that was the whole movie, if the whole movie was like that, no question, that's the best Friday the 13th movie we have ever gotten. Now, I'm somebody that still loves the rest of the movie, but it really is front-loaded. That entire opening sequence where he takes out all of this opening group of people, it's just the best shit. It's the best kills, it's the best tension, the way that it's shot, the shadows, the ferocity of Derek Mears' Jason. Everything in that opening sequence is the epitome of what I want a Friday the 13th movie to be. But number 1, I had to go with style, and that is when Jason gets resurrected in part 6, Jason Lives. I just love the classic aesthetic and the classic appeal of this scene. I love the fact that it's a throwback to Frankenstein. I mean, if you have Jason who's dead and buried, what cooler way, what more nonsensical but perfectly sensical way could you have to revive him other than stabbing a metal spear into his heart and having lightning strike it?
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
I'm not as big of a Jason Lives fan as some of you guys. It's my third favorite. A lot of you guys are huge fans of that one, but this is the moment right here that really kicked this thing off. When I first watched these movies for the first time for my review series, like back to back, all in a binge session, this one was the one that kind of reignited my excitement because it just kicks this movie off with a bang. It's so fun, it's so cool. The visual of it, you could almost make like an album cover out of. I mean, just Jason coming out of the ground after getting struck by lightning. That's just it. That's the coolest thing you could have possibly done to revive Jason. They will never find a better way to bring that character back. Alright guys, if you enjoyed this video, please click over here for my entire playlist of all my Friday the 13th reviews and rankings, and I'm also going to put my 31 on 31 video where I rank the Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Halloween films against each other. So please check that out, like and share this video, and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything in the future. And remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean that you have to be.